Okay, so we're still reflecting. And at this point, I assume that you have read the post about my abdominal surgery and you have met Dr. Swagger. Pretty cool, huh? And so if you haven't already listened to the Dr. Death podcast or watched one of the Dr. Death documentaries, either the one with Christian Slater or the one featuring the real characters, people, you should definitely check that out. They're on Peacock. It's pretty cool. It's a fascinating story. Fascinating, sad, tragic, awful. By the way, Dr. Death is still in prison. No worries there. And Dr. Kirby, aka Dr. Swagger, is still out there doing his thing. So, anyway, I had huge, awful complications from my abdominal surgery. It had nothing to do with Dr. Kirby. It's just that anytime you start messing with the digestive system, it's awful. And in addition to those complications, I was running into walls, tripping over things, and having massive headaches. We know now that that was my brain tumor. We did not know that then. We just thought that I was recovering from surgery, and we also thought that I was recovering from the massive amounts of narcotics that I took in the hospital because I was on quite a bit of painkillers. I had a lot of pain associated with the surgery, so we thought that I was just trying to detox from all of that. So 2.5 weeks after I had abdominal surgery, I left for Quest. What is Quest? It's people define it different ways, but the easiest way for me to describe it, it's when you turn off the outside world and leave it behind for about 5.5 days and go spend with your Father, aka God. And for me, it was about getting direction on my purpose and what He wanted me to do in my next stage of life. But it's a very individualized experience, but it transforms you. It gives you direction. For me, I think for most people, it gives you direction, gives you clarity. But it's a very individualized experience because of everybody's experience and communication and relationship with their Father. So I left for Quest. It's about 2.5 hour drive, and I was very cognitively impaired. I didn't know that it was my brain tumor again. We were blaming it on surgical complications and stuff like that. So I barely made it. I was having horrible headaches, still running into things and stuff like that. I think I consumed an entire bottle of Advil. We were just trying to get my headaches under control. I think about halfway through, my headaches subsided at least somewhat to the point where it wasn't such a focal point for me. But they were very, very intense. My headaches were very, very intense. I don't think I'm giving away too many trade secrets when I say that part of the Quest experience involves a fast. You go out onto the property and you spend some very intense quiet time with your Father, with God. And it's a very intimate time, and it's not as hard as you think it would be. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be because I'd already fasted as part of my surgery. So I was like, hey, let's do it again. I hope I'm not giving away too many more trade secrets when I say that part of my experience was writing a letter from God to me. And I want to share that letter with you because I want you to count the number of times that God points out how he's preparing me for the future. Now, when this letter was written, it was 2.5 weeks before I drove through the house and found out I had brain cancer with a terminal diagnosis. Okay? So when I read this letter, count the number of times when God is pointing this out. Okay? Ready? All right. I put on sexy glasses first. All right. Sexy glasses activated. Here we go. Erica, you are my precious princess and daughter. I have created you in such a specific and beautiful way, and I know you will continue to glorify me with these things I've given you. Please continue to draw close to me, especially when you are hurting, healing, and confused. I made you brave and smart for a reason, so remember to always be aligned with me and not you. Your tender and forgiving heart is so precious to me. Don't keep any hurts inside. You know I can handle them. Your steadfast strength is so important to me. You will continue to see why as time goes on. Keep being the light of the world and salt of the earth, especially to non-believers. They are seeing and feeling my love for them through you. Trust me in my timing. I am never going to leave you. I am always right on time. I am so proud that you've taken this time for yourself and that you're spending so much time with me. I encourage you to do your best the rest of this week. More hard stuff is coming. But please remember that I am beside you. My arms are around you. I want to continue to transform you. I need you to not dismiss the things, signals, and nudges I give you. Don't be so dismissive. Remember that I don't waste anything. So if there is something that you don't understand, don't dismiss it. Ask me. Sweet girl, I am the source of peace over your heart. Whenever you are feeling uneasy, tell me. I'm here to give you abundant peace. I love you more than you can ever imagine. Dear girl, please remember and believe that I want you to overflow with goodness in your life. Visualize it, my sweet daughter, because that's what I want for you. Please believe me when I say that I can restore hope in you. Lean into me. Rely on me. And in those things, you will find abundant hope. Up until today, I have only read that letter to maybe 3 people. So please consider this a very vulnerable gift. I consider this to be very precious words from God to me. He wrote this to me 2.5 weeks before I drove through a house and found out news that would forever change my life. He was preparing me for something that would forever change my life. He already knew its consequences for this fallen world that we live in. But like he said in the letter, his arms are around me. He is with me. There is hope. And we are good, right? So I hope that there are words in this letter that are comforting to you, because they are comforting to me a year later. So with that, we'll keep reflecting.